We have reached the finale of season 1 of Frasier. Hopefully, there is a season 2. No word on that yet, but this is a Christmas episode as well. Let's talk about reindeer games. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my Frasier review for episode 10 of season 1. This is the season finale. I hate that we're only getting 10 episodes, but you know how they do it on streaming now. The days of 22 episodes or more is relegated to just a few shows, and that's on network television these days. So unfortunately, this is it for now. I have to imagine season 2 is going to be announced soon. I think season 1 was fairly popular with viewers. I mean, I feel like a lot of people were talking about the show. I feel like a lot of people were watching the show. It's always popping up as soon as I log into Paramount Plus. It's the first thing on the screen. So I don't know. We'll see. I would love to see this show continue for many, many seasons. But before I launch into the specifics of the episode and my review of it, and of course we'll sort of talk about the season as a whole as well, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do movie and TV reviews here all the time, just about every day. I try to post something new. So not just Frasier content here on the channel. In fact, if you are also a fan of Roseanne and the Connors, I do Connors reviews as well. So once that kicks back into gear in, I think, January, I will be bringing you Connors reviews every week. But other than that, there's always a lot to check out on the channel. So please consider subscribing and all of that good stuff. Okay, so this is called Reindeer Games, and this was directed, once again, by Kelsey Grammer. He's directed, I think, almost half of the season, or maybe a full half. Maybe this is at least episode 4 that he's directed, but maybe 5. And written by a trio of ladies, Janae Lynn, Jenna Martin, and Namia Pierce. Unfamiliar with those names, but obviously part of the Frasier writers' room. And this is all about Christmas. And, it got me thinking, we don't really get many Christmas episodes anymore with streaming, because most shows drop either all at once, or there's not enough episodes, only 8 or 10 episodes in a season. It very rarely actually falls anywhere near Christmas. So we actually, the Christmas themed episode used to be a classic for sitcoms. Every sitcom had one, at least every few seasons, right? If not every year. So that was the first thing that struck me, that, oh my gosh, this is the Christmas episode. And we just get them so rarely with streaming shows anymore. So that's fun. But Frasier is missing his father, Martin, of course, played by the great John Mahoney, who, passed away several years ago. So he's been kind of a part of this season, with plots and stuff, people talking about him, people mourning his loss, etc. So this is the first Christmas without Martin. So obviously, Frasier's a little down about that. And he decides, what will make me feel good? Maybe I will throw a classic Crane party. And him and Freddie sort of discuss that, it's 2 days before Christmas, are we really going to have enough people here? And they're both like, well, my friends have nothing to do and no lives. So, let's do it. And at the same time, Eve is mourning the loss of her ex, her baby daddy, the firefighter that was, had passed on earlier in the year. So this is her first Christmas without him. And Freddie sort of really caught in the middle, because he knew and loved both of these people. And that gets brought up a little bit later in the episode. But anyway, he goes to Mahoney's pub and has a scroll and everything, and heralds the party and invites everybody along. So in classic Crane party tradition, it's so great that we get a Crane party, because whether Frasier was throwing it or Niles was throwing it, the Crane party was such an integral part of the original Frasier. I mean, at least twice a year we would have a big party episode, whether it was for some artist to come over, or a holiday, or just whatever, oh, so and so is going to be in town, let's have a party. And so I love that towards the end of this, he actually references some of the mishaps that happened in the original run of the show. I thought that was brilliant that they sort of brought that back. So anyway, I'm jumping around a little bit, but in any event, so David comes over to help him with the party, with setting it up, and we realize that Frasier mixed up the ordering and ordered one chair and 24 Christmas trees instead of the opposite. So we go in, and these Christmas trees are not huge. They're enough, to give us, the audience, a good laugh that they're, all over the place. But they're not, extremely large Christmas trees. But so it's very, very funny to, kind of see how that plays out visually. It's a good gag. And then he starts saying, Frasier does, that this is akin to the Dickens story Christmas Carol. This is so Dickensian, and this is telling us that we're going to have three mishaps tonight. And this isn't even the first one. This is the Jacob Marley of it all. We're going to have more mishaps coming through. And sure enough, in true Crane fashion, of course, there are a ton of mishaps that happen, including, the goose that he orders is a live goose. The band, the orchestra that he orders is from a local elementary school and can't really play. Which that's the one part of the episode I'm like, oh man, Frasier is kind of a dick to them. And I get it, but even at the end, they do, they try to play, toss salads and scrambled eggs over the end credits. And it's, okay, it's identifiable, but, he gets fed up with them over that. I think he's a little mean to them. I mean, they're little kids giving up their Christmas Eve to play, for his party, but okay. But anyway, so Eve decides she's not going to go to the party. She wants to just sort of, wallow in her sadness and watch some Hallmark movies and just chill. But Freddie goes over to make sure she's okay, and she keeps sort of wanting more things that he can easily take from the party. Oh, I could use a drink. Oh, my dad has, some of this. Oh, it's not very festive in here. There's not even a tree. Oh, well, that's easy, easy fix. So he comes out and brings that. So eventually, a couple of the firefighter friends go over to Eve's to kind of, support her. And of course, this is their, again, it was a firefighter that lost his life. So the firefighter crew, is also missing their buddy, on their first Christmas without him. So they go over, and then eventually the entire party ends up over there. And so let's see, where do I want to go now? So Frasier, goes over there and, gets annoyed that, oh, okay, you've betrayed me. Everyone, doesn't like my party. And look, classic Crane tradition. And that's sort of when he sort of goes over the list of things, the bird on the head and all these great mishaps that happened in the original show. And all the while, Freddie's like, you know what, Dad, you're my gift to you is going to make you feel better. Just wait. It's coming. I don't care about the gift. You've ruined Christmas, whatever. So it turns out that the gift is Roz. And this might have been a much, much better reveal if we didn't all know about it. I knew, one of you in the comments actually had mentioned it to me a couple of weeks ago, that this would be the episode where we find Roz. And even going into the season, it was on Wikipedia that Peri Gilpin would be making a guest appearance. So, she hasn't come yet, so obviously she's in this episode. And to really drive the point home, the thumbnail on... and I don't know if everybody gets the same thumbnail. I know on Netflix, different thumbnails go for different... accounts, depending on, I guess, what kind of shows you watch or whatever. But I got, anyway, on Paramount Plus, a big old picture of Roz and Frasier sitting together. So I'm like, okay. I'm sure to the live studio audience, this was a huge reveal. If I was in the audience, I would have just been falling all over myself with clapping. But for us, the audience, we already knew this. As soon as he said at the beginning of the episode, when Frasier was, saying, oh, I kind of miss Seattle and this and that, it gives Freddie an idea, and he's like, oh, I just thought of the perfect gift for you. Everyone in the audience knew, oh, okay, well, that's Roz is going to be the gift. Got it. Sounds good. It would have been nice. Like, I'm the kind of person that does not watch movie trailers. I try not to. If I go see a movie at the theaters, I try to time it. I know each of the couple theaters near me. I know generally how long their previews are. And if I get there early at the Regal, I will literally wait outside the theater doors till I hear the Pepsi ad, and then I'm like, okay, I can go in. I hate trailers. They give away way too much of the movie. I like knowing nothing. And it was such a shame that we didn't actually get to see Roz as a reveal, because we all knew. And to compare it to something, for those of you that watched the Night Court reboot, the very last 8 seconds of the first season of Night Court had Marsha Warfield in it. And there was a spoiler for that, but all right, if you were interested, you probably would have watched it by now. And I had no idea. That was a really cool reveal, to see Marsha Warfield at the very end. Hopefully she plays into season 2. But point being, I'm sure that the Roz reveal was amazing for the studio audience, for us, very ho-hum, because, at least for me, because I already knew. I knew going in. So kind of a bummer. I would have loved to have had that surprise. But anyway, so the two of them reconnect, and she looks great, by the way. She's obviously had some work done. Nobody in their 60s or whatever she is, looks that flawless. But I don't think she's had too much work done. I think she looks great. And that could certainly be something in Hollywood that, people take it too far with the plastic surgery. We see that all the time. But I had not seen Perry Gilpin in a long time. I mean, I'm sure she pops up in bit roles, here and there or whatever, but I don't remember seeing her in quite a while. So it was nice to see her, certainly. And they decide to get a drink, go out to the bar, catch up a little bit, talk about Martin, and how much they miss him. And they flash on the sign that says Mahoney's pub or whatever, right at the intro of the scene. And I actually had not realized it was called Mahoney's. One of you in the comments pointed it out to me, maybe like in week 4 or 5 or something. It was like, hey, nice nod to Martin with the Mahoney's, because of course, like I said, he was played by John Mahoney. So that was cool that they really kind of hung on that image for a moment. So we were in the know. But, they talked about how much they missed him. It was a very nice Martin tribute episode. So anyway, they get back to Frasier's apartment, and Freddie sort of corralled everybody to be there, sitting, for dinner, the way Frasier had originally envisioned the meal. So, a really good episode, but let's talk about some of the flaws. So I mentioned that I thought Frasier was, kind of a dick to the kids. I did not love that. But there was a side plot with Alan and David that I have mixed feelings about. Because I sort of do like last week's episode. I didn't love the whole dynamic with the two of them, that David was helping him as the TA and everything. That didn't quite work for me. But I do like the idea of them sort of teaming up and being goofy together. Like in the last episode, it was more like, he was Alan's, serf, basically. Here, they're sort of on equal footing, trying to one-up each other with this contest about saying the reindeer names. And then they decide halfway through, let's see if we can get other people to say the reindeer names. How are we going to do that? And then, we see them, throughout the rest of the episode. I actually thought that was kind of a fun concept. I don't know that I got a ton of laughs from that necessarily, but I like the idea of Alan and David kind of teaming up, because David is, naive. He's kind of dopey, whatever. He's smart, book smart, but kind of dopey in other avenues. And Alan is obviously very immature. He is sort of like the Norman Cliff of this show. To put a Cheers reference in there. So I like the idea of them teaming up. I don't know that this was my favorite, comedy routine with the two of them, but I would like to see more of that in season 2. The two of them kind of pairing off and squaring off, perhaps, in these silly contests. The other thing I didn't love, Niles was there in presence. Because he was texting. He was, quote unquote, on the phone, on the other end of the phone. Look, I get it. We need David to have a reason to be there, so he's not going back to Seattle with his folks. I don't know. Look, we all know as the audience that David Hyde Pierce did not want anything to do with this reboot. Will he appear in season 2? I don't know. I think that's still on the table. And I think having David as a character is, I know we all have mixed feelings about David, or completely negative feelings about David, right? I've heard from you all season in the comments, and for the most part, I agree. I mean, I think David is the weakest character by far. Although I don't know. I mean, Eve does not get much to do. This episode, she actually had a little, story, which was nice. But I don't know that she's had a lot to do this season, so I'd like to see her character upped. But I don't think she quite annoys people like David. David's character seems to annoy people, myself included, in some of these episodes. But I think the writers last half of the season have kind of been figuring out what to do with that character, kind of massaging that along a little bit. But anyway, but to have Niles on the phone when us, the audience, we know okay, well he didn't want to do the show and whatever. I don't know. It just was sort of awkwardly jammed in there, I felt. I wasn't sure that we completely needed that. But whatever. It's not the end of the world, but I thought it was awkward with that. And then the only other thing really, I didn't talk about is that really everybody from this season that had any kind of, major part that wasn't like a one episode girlfriend or something, is here. We see the provost that has been in a few episodes. He was here. We see the whole firefighter crew. But there was an interesting sort of little wrinkle with Moose falling in love with these Hallmark movies, and they did a drinking game over there at Eve's with everything. So then Olivia comes over, as the whole party ended up coming over, and Moose and her end up in this kind of flirtatious Hallmark movie type thing. She's literally, unbeknownst to her, quoting lines from the movie they were watching about, Santa's not the only one with a deadline, I gotta go. And they end up kissing at the end of the episode. And I have to say, I didn't hate it. I want to see more of the firefighter crew. And we've talked about this a little bit in the comments. I would love to see them expand on that world a little bit. And give us some of Freddy's friends. Moose has to be, I don't love the character yet. He has to be massaged a little bit because he's just too stupid. And I like that they've given him this penchant for cooking. That's cool. We saw that in the firehouse episode. And it comes up a little bit, I think, again in this one. But I would like to see more of those characters, but they need to be a little bit more identified. So far all we know about Moose is he's a dum-dum. And the other people I don't think we really get to know at all. But I like that him and Olivia, maybe something's happening with there that will go beyond Christmas. I don't know. It would be nice if there was one solid relationship romantically throughout the show. I think they're sort of, back and forth with Freddie and Eve. I think eventually that's probably where they're going to go on that. But I think, it may be too soon after the death of his friend / her ex. So maybe that we take a couple of seasons with that. I don't know, but would be interesting if Moose and Olivia actually, got together and started some sort of romantic relationship, and then we will get to see a little bit more of his character and maybe give him layers, that he doesn't currently have. So, all right. So for the episode, we'll talk about the season as a whole here in just a second. But I think this is a very good episode. Not the best of the season. Not quite in the league with the Lilith episode. I still think the blind date one is great. But honestly, it hit a lot of marks for me. It was very funny. And other than, the sort of the awkwardness of the Niles thing and Frasier yelling at the kids, which I didn't love, it was a classic Frasier farce, classic party gone wrong, a lot of visual gags. And I can't give it a lesser grade because I knew about the Roz reveal, but boy, that Roz reveal would have really hit home if we didn't all know about it going into the episode. There's something to be said for holding, some things close to the chest. But I will give Reindeer, was it called Reindeer Games, right? I will give Reindeer Games an A minus. I do think it is sort of in the mix for one of the best episodes of the season. Not the best, I don't think, but easily like maybe 3 or 4 on that list of the 10. So, all right, now the season as a whole, I won't be, too belabored on this because obviously there are 20-minute videos for each episode talking about my thoughts. But look, I think it's no secret that the season started rough. I stand by my C+ for those first 2 episodes. I think the first episode, boy, if this was not an already established show, I think I would not have kept watching it. I really did not care for that first episode. And the second one also didn't do the character or the legacy any justice. So I stand by my C+ for those first 2 episodes. And then it got better pretty quickly too. Episode 3 where we learn a little bit about that background of Frasier having like the Dr. Phil type show. One of only 2 episodes really that we've done in the classroom that we've utilized that space. And that's another reason I would love to see more than 10 episodes. Even like a 13 episode run, like a lot of the shows now get on networks. If they're not a full season, they do like these chunks. Oh, okay, your show's going to only run in the spring, but we'll run 13 weeks in a row continuous. I would love to just get 3 more episodes of Frasier. But we could explore that a little more with the classroom stuff, because there was some good ideas there that I don't think we really got to fully. But finding its stride there in that episode, and then like 4 through 8, were all pretty good stuff. And where I think it was clear that this show was going to work. Some of the side characters began popping. Even David in that episode where Freddie and Eve were trying to like help him, be a little smoother with the ladies. Like that was a really good showcase for the David character. And I think since then, his character's been mostly going, in an upward trend. That last episode 9, I didn't care for. That was down with those first couple. But every other episode is sort of in that like B+ to A kind of a range. So for overall for the season, I think it is appropriate to leave it with a B+. But let me know in the thoughts what you think. I've been so enjoying, going back and forth with you guys in the comments about this show, about these characters, about what you like, about what you don't like, about ideas, where you think they could take the storyline or some of these characters, or, hey, let's, bring this person in. I will leave you with this. What character, because he's back in Boston, right? If this gets a second season, I think we have to have a Cheers character come on, right? What character would you most like to see from the Cheers universe? And of course, excluding Lilith, she doesn't count. We've already seen her, and she was, as much a part of the Frasier universe as she was the Cheers universe. But for Cheers, what character would you most like to see? And what character do you think makes the most sense to make an appearance? I'll give you mine. I think it makes the most sense to have Cliff come in as the mailman for Mahoney's or something like that. I feel like he seems the most like sort of out and about. But what do you think? I would love to hear from you in the comments on that. But yeah, please let me know what you think about this season on the whole, about this episode. And we'll go from there. But thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. Thanks for finding this video. If you came on as a subscriber just because of these Frasier videos, I so appreciate it. But please consider checking out some of my other stuff. Movie reviews, TV reviews. Like I said, if you're a Connors fan, we'll be doing the Connors reviews every episode as well when that starts back up again. And if there is a season 2 of Frasier, which cross fingers there will be, I'll be with you for those as well. So thank you so much. We'll see you next time on Dan Reviews It.